Picture this. It's 6 a.m. Your alarm's been going off for the past 15 minutes. You finally drag yourself out of bed, stumble to the kitchen like a zombie, extra in a low-budget horror film, and reach for that sacred cup of coffee. 5 minutes later, you're a functioning human being again. Before we get started, check out the link in the description to download our ebook. Magic, right? But here's the thing. That coffee didn't actually give you energy. Not one bit. What it did do was pull off one of the most impressive tricks in biochemistry. It basically hacked your brain's operating system to make you think you're awake. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how caffeine manipulates your brain chemistry, why that energy boost is kind of an illusion, and why you might need 3 cups now when one used to do the trick. Trust me, once you see what's really happening up there, you'll never look at your morning coffee the same way again. Let's be honest, caffeine runs our world. There's the college student pulling an all-nighter, surrounded by empty energy drink cans like some kind of cramming fortress. There's the office worker, who has legitimately said the words, "Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee," and meant it as a serious public safety warning. There's the parent wrangling 3 kids before 7 a.m. who treats their coffee maker like a life support machine. We've built entire cultures around this stuff. Coffee shops on every corner. Energy drinks that promise to give you wings or turn you into a monster or whatever. Tea ceremonies, espresso shots, cold brew. We're absolutely obsessed. And look, I'm not judging. I get it. Life is exhausting. Work starts early. Deadlines don't care about your sleep schedule. Sometimes you just need that boost to make it through the day. But what if I told you that boost isn't really a boost at all? What if caffeine isn't actually giving you energy, but instead just hiding the tired? It's time to pull back the curtain on the world's most popular psychoactive drug. To understand how caffeine works, we first need to talk about why you get tired in the first place. And for that, we need to meet a molecule called adenosine. Think of adenosine as your brain's sleep pressure gauge. From the moment you wake up, your brain and body are burning energy, processing information, moving around, just generally being alive. And whenever your cells use energy, they produce adenosine as a byproduct. It's like the exhaust from your metabolism. All day long, adenosine builds up in your brain. It's accumulating molecule by molecule, slowly filling up that gauge. And as it builds, adenosine molecules start binding to special receptors on your nerve cells, specifically adenosine receptors. Clever name, right? When adenosine locks onto these receptors, it essentially tells your brain to pump the brakes. It slows down nerve cell activity. It makes neural firing less intense. Basically, it's your brain's way of saying, "Hey, we've been running for a while now. Maybe it's time to wind down." The more adenosine that builds up, the more receptors get activated and the sleepier you feel. It's a beautiful, natural system designed to make sure you eventually rest and recharge. By the end of the day, that gauge is pretty full, which is why you're ready to collapse into bed. Here's the key part. Adenosine doesn't make you tired because you're out of energy in some fuel tank sense. Your body still has plenty of resources. Adenosine makes you tired because it's essentially your brain's timer saying, "We've been active long enough. Time to shut down for maintenance." Now, what does all this have to do with your morning coffee? Here's where the trick happens. Caffeine is what scientists call an adenosine receptor antagonist. In plain English, it's a molecular imposter. Caffeine molecules have a similar shape to adenosine, similar enough that they can slip into those adenosine receptors and just sit there. They're like someone stealing your parking spot and then refusing to move. The caffeine locks onto the receptor, but it doesn't activate it, it just blocks it. So now the real adenosine, which is still building up in your brain, by the way, can't get into its receptors. It's floating around with nowhere to go, unable to deliver its slow down and get sleepy message. Your nerve cells don't get the signal to chill out. They keep firing away at full speed. And here's the really clever part. Caffeine isn't giving you energy. It's not providing fuel. It's not recharging anything. All those adenosine molecules are still there. You're still just as sleep deprived or mentally exhausted as you were before. Caffeine is simply preventing your brain from realizing it's tired. It's like putting a piece of tape over your car's fuel warning light. The tank is still empty, but hey, the light's not on anymore, so problem solved, right? Not exactly, but you can definitely drive a bit further before you realize you're in trouble. The caffeine starts kicking in about 15 to 30 minutes after you drink it. peaks in your bloodstream after about an hour, and can hang around for 4 to 6 hours depending on your metabolism. During that whole time, it's just sitting there blocking adenosine, keeping you in a state of artificial alertness. But wait, there's more. Caffeine doesn't just block sleepiness, it also has some bonus effects that make it feel even more like you're getting a real energy boost. When adenosine receptors get blocked, it causes a chain reaction. Your brain notices that its slowed down signals aren't getting through, so it compensates by releasing more dopamine and norepinephrine. Dopamine is your feel-good motivation neurotransmitter. Norepinephrine is basically internal adrenaline. Together, they make you feel more alert, focused, and ready to tackle things. This is why caffeine doesn't just wake you up, it makes you feel good, more motivated, sharper, like you can finally answer those emails or finish that assignment. It's hitting your brain's reward and arousal systems at the same time. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. None of this is actually sustainable. Remember all that adenosine we talked about? It's still accumulating. Every minute you're awake, more is being produced. The caffeine is just masking it, holding back the tide. But eventually, the caffeine gets metabolized and filtered out of your system. When that happens, all that built-up adenosine comes flooding in at once. Hello, caffeine crash. Suddenly, you're not just tired, you're exhausted. You feel worse than you did before the coffee because you've now got several extra hours worth of adenosine hitting your receptors simultaneously. And here's where things get even trickier. Your brain adapts. If you drink caffeine regularly, your brain notices that its adenosine receptors keep getting blocked. So what does it do? It makes more receptors. Your brain literally upregulates adenosine receptor production to compensate for the caffeine. This is tolerance. Now you need more caffeine to block all those extra receptors just to feel normal. That 1 cup that used to perk you up, now it barely touches the sides. You need 2 cups, then 3. Some people are up to 5 or 6 before they even feel human. And if you suddenly stop, all those extra receptors are sitting there, ready for adenosine, with no caffeine to block them. This is withdrawal, the headaches, the fatigue, the irritability. Your brain has become dependent on caffeine just to maintain baseline function. Now, caffeine isn't evil. Let's be clear about that. It's one of the most studied substances on the planet, and it does have some legitimate benefits. Moderate caffeine consumption, we're talking 2 to 4 cups of coffee a day, has been linked to improved focus, better physical performance, and even some long-term health benefits like reduced risk of certain diseases. It can genuinely help you concentrate, boost your workout, or get through a demanding task. Plus, it's in so many things: coffee, tea, energy drinks, soda, even chocolate. A cup of coffee has about 95 milligrams of caffeine. Black tea has around 47, your average energy drink, anywhere from 80 to 300 milligrams, depending on how aggressively they're marketing to gamers. But the downsides are real too. Too much caffeine leads to jitteriness, anxiety, and that classic "my heart is racing for no reason" feeling. It can mess with your sleep. Even that afternoon coffee can make it harder to fall asleep 8 hours later because caffeine's half-life is so long. And here's the ironic part. If you're using caffeine to combat poor sleep, you might actually be making your sleep worse, which makes you need more caffeine, which makes your sleep worse again. It's a cycle that's genuinely hard to break. The key is understanding what caffeine actually does. It's a tool, not a solution. It can buy you some temporary alertness, but it's not a substitute for actual rest. So here's the bottom line. Caffeine doesn't give you energy. It doesn't recharge your batteries or refuel your brain. What it does is block the signals that tell you you're tired, temporarily hiding your exhaustion behind a chemical mask. It's one of evolution's little loopholes, a plant defense chemical that just happens to fit perfectly into our brain's sleepiness system, and we've turned it into a global obsession, a daily ritual, a legitimate addiction for billions of people. But now you know the truth. That morning coffee isn't waking you up, it's pulling off a brilliant biochemical trick, convincing your brain that you're not tired when you absolutely, definitely still are. The sleepiness is still there, quietly building up in the background, waiting for its moment. Next time you reach for that cup of coffee or crack open an energy drink, you'll know exactly what's happening inside your skull. You're not getting energy. You're just postponing, tired, and honestly, sometimes that's exactly what you need. So here's my question for you. How many cups have you already had today? Are you riding the caffeine wave, or are you deep in tolerance territory, needing that triple espresso just to feel normal? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how caffeinated this audience is. And if you learned something new about your favorite drug, I mean beverage, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos about the weird and wonderful science behind everyday life. Your brain will thank you. Well, it would thank you, but it's too busy being tricked by adenosine blockers. I'll see you in the next one. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go make some coffee.